Arizona is a state in the southwestern region of the United States. It is also part of the western United States and of the Mountain West states. It is the 6th largest and the 14th most populous of the 50 states. Its capital and largest city is Phoenix. Arizona is one of the Four Corners states. It has borders with New Mexico, Utah, Nevada, California, and Mexico, and one point in common with the southwestern corner of Colorado. Arizona's border with Mexico is 389 miles long, on the northern border of the Mexican states of Sonora and Baja California. Arizona is the 48th state and last of the contiguous states to be admitted to the Union, achieving statehood on February 14, 1912. It was previously part of the territory of Alta California and New Spain before being passed down to independent Mexico and later ceded to the United States after the Mexican-American War. The southernmost portion of the state was acquired in 1853 through the Gadsden Purchase. Southern Arizona is known for its desert climate, with very hot summers and mild winters. Northern Arizona features forests of pine, Douglas fir, and spruce trees, the Colorado Plateau, some mountain ranges, as well as large, deep canyons, with much more moderate summer temperatures and significant winter snowfalls. There are ski resorts in the areas of Flagstaff, Alpine, and Tucson. In addition to the Grand Canyon National Park, there are several national forests, national parks, and national monuments. About 1/4 of the state is made up of Indian reservations that serve as the home of a number of Native American tribes. Etymology. The name of the state appears to originate from an earlier Spanish name, Arizonic, derived from the O'odham name Alisonac, meaning small spring, which initially applied only to an area near the Mexican silver mining camp of Planchas de Plata, Sonora. This is supported by the fact that the area is still known as Alisonac in the O'odham language. Another possible origin is the Basque phrase Haritzona. There is a misconception that the state's name originated from the Spanish term for arid zone. Geography and geology. See also list of counties, islands, rivers, lakes, state parks, national parks, and national forests. Arizona is located in the southwestern United States as one of the Four Corners states. Arizona is the 6th largest state by area, after New Mexico and before Nevada. Of the state's 113,998 square miles, approximately 15% is privately owned. The remaining area is public forest and park land, state trust land and Native American reservations. Arizona is well known for its desert basin and range region in the southern portions of the state, which is rich in a landscape of xerophyte plants such as the cactus and its climate with exceptionally hot summers and mild winters. The state is less well known for its pine-covered north-central portion of the state's high country of the Colorado Plateau. Like other states of the southwest United States, Arizona has an abundance of mountains and plateaus in addition to its desert climate. Despite the state's aridity, 27% of Arizona is forest, a percentage comparable to modern-day France or Germany. The largest stand of ponderosa pine trees in the world is contained in Arizona. The Mogollon Rim, a 1,998-foot escarpment, cuts across the central section of the state and marks the southwestern edge of the Colorado Plateau, where the state experienced its second worst forest fire ever in 2002. Arizona belongs firmly within the basin and range region of North America. The region was shaped by prehistoric volcanism, followed by the cooling off and related subsidence. The Grand Canyon is a colorful, steep-sided gorge carved by the Colorado River, in northern Arizona. The canyon is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world and is largely contained in the Grand Canyon National Park, one of the first national parks in the United States. President Theodore Roosevelt was a major proponent of designating the Grand Canyon area as a national park, visiting on numerous occasions to hunt mountain lion and enjoy the scenery. The canyon was created by the Colorado River cutting a channel over millions of years, and is about 277 miles long, ranges in width from 4 to 18 miles and attains a depth of more than 1 mile. Nearly 2 billion years of the Earth's history have been exposed as the Colorado River and its tributaries cut through layer after layer of sediment. As the Colorado Plateau uplifted, Arizona is home to one of the most well-preserved meteorite impact sites in the world. Created around 50,000 years ago, the Brigham Meteorite Crater is a gigantic hole in the middle of the high plains of the Colorado Plateau, about 25 miles west of Winslow. A rim of smashed and jumbled boulders, some of them the size of small houses, rises 150 feet above the level of the surrounding plain. The crater itself is nearly 1 mile wide, and 570 feet deep. Arizona is one of 2 U.S. states that does not observe daylight saving time, except in the Navajo Nation, located in the northeastern region of the state. Earthquakes generally, Arizona is at low risk of earthquakes, except for the southwestern portion, which is at moderate risk due to its proximity to Southern California. On the other hand, northern Arizona is at moderate risk due to numerous faults in the area. The regions that are at lowest risk in the state are near and west of Phoenix. The earliest Arizona earthquakes were recorded at Fort Yuma, on the California side of the Colorado River. They were centered near the Imperial Valley, or Mexico, back in the 1800s. In 1887, Douglas felt the shock of a magnitude 7.2 earthquake with an epicenter 40 miles to the south in the Mexican state of Sonora. The first damaging earthquake known to be centered within Arizona's borders occurred on January 25, 1906, also including a series of other earthquakes centered near Socorro, New Mexico. The shock was violent in Flagstaff. In September 1910, a series of 52 earthquakes caused a construction crew near Flagstaff to leave the area. In 1912, the year Arizona achieved statehood, on August 18, an earthquake caused a 50-mile crack in the San Francisco Range. In early January 1935, the state experienced a series of earthquakes in the Yuma area and near the Grand Canyon. Arizona experienced its largest earthquake in 1959, with a tremor of a magnitude 5.6. It was centered near Fredonia, in the northwestern part of the state near the border with Utah. The tremor was felt across the border in the neighboring states of Nevada and Utah. Climate. Due to its large area and variations in elevation, the state has a wide variety of localized climate conditions. In the lower elevations, the climate is primarily desert, with mild winters and extremely hot summers. Typically, from late fall to early spring, the weather is mild, averaging a minimum of 60 degrees Fahrenheit. November through February are the coldest months, with temperatures typically ranging from 40 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, with occasional frosts. About midway through February, the temperatures start to rise again, with warm days, and cool, breezy nights. The summer months of June through September bring a dry heat ranging from 90 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, with occasional high temperatures exceeding 125 degrees Fahrenheit having been observed in the desert area. Arizona's all-time record high is 128 degrees Fahrenheit recorded at Lake Havasu City on June 29, 1994, and July 5, 2007, the all-time record low of -40 degrees was recorded at Hawley Lake on January 7, 1971. Due to the primarily dry climate, large diurnal temperature variations occur in less developed areas of the desert above 2,500 feet. The swings can be as large as 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer months. In the state's urban centers, the effects of local warming result in much higher measured nighttime lows than in the recent past. Arizona has an average annual rainfall of 12.7 in, which comes during 2 rainy seasons. with cold fronts coming from the Pacific Ocean during the winter and a monsoon in the summer. The monsoon season occurs towards the end of summer. In July or August, the dew point rises dramatically for a brief period. During this time, the air contains large amounts of water vapor. Dew points as high as 81 degrees Fahrenheit have been recorded during the Phoenix monsoon season. This hot moisture brings lightning, thunderstorms, wind, and torrential, if usually brief, downpours. These downpours often cause flash floods, which can turn deadly. In an attempt to deter drivers from crossing flooding streams, the Arizona legislature enacted the Stupid Motorist Law. It is rare for tornadoes or hurricanes to occur in Arizona. The northern third of Arizona is a plateau at significantly higher altitudes than the lower desert, and has an appreciably cooler climate, with cold winters and mild summers, though the climate remains semi-arid to arid. Extremely cold temperatures are not unknown. Cold air systems from the northern states and Canada occasionally push into the state, bringing temperatures below 0 degrees Fahrenheit to the northern parts of the state. Indicative of the variation in climate, Arizona is the state which has both the metropolitan area with the most days over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and the metropolitan area in the lower 48 states with the most days with a low temperature below freezing. History. Before the modern era, Arizona was home to numerous Native American tribes. Hohokam, Mogollon and ancestral Puebloan cultures were among the many that flourished throughout the entire state before the arrival of Marcos de Niza, a Spanish Franciscan, in 1539. He explored parts of the state and made contact with native inhabitants, probably the Sobaipuri. The expedition of Spanish explorer Coronado entered the area in 1540 to 1542 during its search for Cibola. Father Kino was the next European in the region, a member of the Society of Jesus. He led the development of a chain of missions and converted many of the Indians to Christianity in the Pimeria Alta in the 1690s and early 18th century. Spain founded presidios at Tubac in 1752 and Tucson in 1775. When Mexico achieved its independence from Spain in 1821, what is now Arizona became part of the territory of Nueva California, also known as Alta California. In the Mexican-American War, the U.S. occupied Mexico City and pursued its claim to much of northern Mexico, including what later became Arizona. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo specified that, in addition to language and cultural rights of the existing inhabitants being considered as inviolable, the sum of $15 million in compensation be paid to the Republic of Mexico. In 1853, the land below the Gila River was acquired from Mexico in the Gadsden Purchase. Arizona was administered as part of the Territory of New Mexico until Southern New Mexico Territory seceded from the Union as the Confederate Territory of Arizona on March 16, 1861. Arizona was recognized as a Confederate territory by presidential proclamation of Jefferson Davis on February 14, 1862. This is the first official use of the name. Arizona supported the Confederate cause with men, horses, and supplies. Formed in 1862, Arizona Scout companies fought with the Confederate Army throughout the war. Arizona has the farthest recorded Western engagement of the war, the Battle of Picacho Pass. A new Arizona Territory consisting of the western half of New Mexico Territory was declared in Washington, D.C., on February 24, 1863. The new boundaries would later form the basis of the state, although names including Gadsonia, Pimeria, Montezuma, and Arizuma had been considered for the territory. When President Lincoln signed the final bill, it read, Arizona, and the name became permanent. Brigham Young sent Mormons to Arizona in the mid to late 19th century. They founded Mesa, Snowflake, Heber, Safford, and other towns. They also settled in the Phoenix Valley, Tempe, Prescott, and other areas. The Mormons settled what became northern Arizona and northern New Mexico, but these areas were located in a part of the former New Mexico Territory. During the Mexican Revolution from 1910 to 1920, several battles were fought in the Mexican towns just across the border from Arizonan border settlements. Throughout the Revolution, Arizonans were enlisting in one of the several armies fighting in Mexico. The Battle of Ambos Nogales in 1918, other than Pancho Villa's 1916 Columbus raid in New Mexico, was the only significant engagement on U.S. soil between American and Mexican forces. The battle resulted in an American victory. After U.S. soldiers were fired on by Mexican federal troops, the American garrison then launched an assault into Nogales, Mexico. The Mexicans eventually surrendered after both sides sustained heavy casualties. A few months earlier, just west of Nogales, an Indian war battle occurred, thus being the last engagement in the American Indian Wars, which lasted from 1775 to 1918. The participants in the fight were U.S. soldiers stationed on the border and Yaqui Indians who were using Arizona as a base to raid the nearby Mexican settlements. As a part of their wars against Mexico, Arizona became a U.S. state on February 14, 1912. Arizona was the 48th state admitted to the U.S. and the last of the contiguous states to be admitted. Cotton farming and copper mining, two of Arizona's most important statewide industries, suffered heavily during the Great Depression. But during the 1920s and 1930s, tourism began to be the important Arizonan industry it is today. Dude ranches, such as the KL Bar and Remuda in Wickenburg, along with the Flying V and Tank Verde in Tucson, gave tourists the chance to experience the flavor and life of the Old West. Several upscale hotels and resorts opened during this period, some of which are still top tourist draws. They include the Arizona Biltmore Hotel in central Phoenix and the Wigwam Resort on the west side of the Phoenix area. Arizona was the site of German Pow Camps during World War II and Japanese-American internment camps. The camps were abolished after World War II. The Phoenix area German Pow site was purchased after the war by the Maytag family, and is currently the site of the Phoenix Zoo. A Japanese-American internment camp was located on Mount Lemmon, just outside of the state's southeastern city of Tucson. Another Pow camp was located near the Gila River in eastern Yuma County. Because of wartime fears of Japanese invasion of the West Coast, from 1942 to 1945 all Japanese American residents in western Washington, western Oregon, all of California, and western Arizona were required to reside in the war camps. Arizona was also home to the Phoenix Indian School, one of several federal institutions designed to forcibly assimilate Native American children into Anglo-American culture. Children were often enrolled into these schools against the wishes of their parents and families. Attempts to suppress Native identities included forcing the children to cut their hair and take on English names. Arizona's population grew tremendously after World War II, in part because of the development of air conditioning, which made the intense summers more comfortable. According to the Arizona Blue Book, the state population in 1910 was 294,353. By 1970, it was 1,752,122. The percentage growth each decade averaged about 20% in the earlier decades and about 60% each decade thereafter. In the 1960s, the establishment of retirement communities, special age-restricted subdivisions catering exclusively to the needs of senior citizens who wanted to escape the harsh winters of the Midwest and the Northeast began. Sun City, established by developer Del Webb and opened in 1960, was one of the first such communities. Green Valley, south of Tucson, was another such community and was designed to be a retirement subdivision for Arizona's teachers. Many senior citizens across the U.S. and Canada arrive in Arizona each winter and stay only during the winter months. They are referred to as snowbirds. In March 2000, Arizona was the site of the first legally binding election to nominate a candidate for public office ever held over the Internet. In the 2000 Arizona Democratic primary, under worldwide attention, Al Gore defeated Bill Bradley, and voter turnout increased more than 500% over the 1996 primary. 3 ships named US Arizona have been christened in honor of the state, although only US Arizona was so named after statehood was achieved.